Did not do it. What's going on? This is FF7 JK, it's Crisis Core.
Yeah, so I figured that everyone is obsessed with the remake right now, so I just wanted to remind people about the game that exists, that I see no one talk about ever.
I've actually, despite playing FF7 a lot, I've never played or know... The only thing I know about this game is, like, I guess the obvious stuff, that you're Zack.
Yeah.
And it pretty much leads up to FF7. It's, like, obviously a prequel.
Yeah. So, here's another thing. I was thinking about doing hard mode, and I like how hard mode does do damage. Except, they increase enemy HP by, like, 5 times. And, like, it is... If it was just increased enemy damage, now I'd be fine with it. But every fight takes 10 years, and I don't want this to take 10 years. So
That's fair.
Normal mode. Unfortunately, normal mode is also pretty easy, except for like some of like the very late game side quest stuff.
So right off the bat, this looks great for what, like 2005, 2007, whatever it was.
Yeah, they obviously paid a lot of money for the. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's the. We're playing this emulated. We're bad boys, but playing games off the PSP with the component cable looks terrible, and I don't want to play on the PSP. But yeah. FMVs look pretty good. The unfortunate thing is that the PSP's resolution was like 400 by 270 pixels. So, it does look a bit pixelated sometimes.
But yeah, it's... I can't imagine... I mean, maybe this game is like not very long, I don't know. But it's like amazing to think that this was on a UMD. Remember UMDs?
Yeah, UMDs were about a gigabyte, so... A little bit more than a CD.
Pretty amazing. And also, like, just do you remember UMDs?
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want to, like, say.
All of Sony's proprietary media formats that just died in the mid-2000s.
You know, I'm really glad for the Switch having cartridges. And, like, very strong cartridges, you know? So I'm glad that cartridges still exist in this world. I like cartridges.
Yeah, cartridges are cool. In general, they're, like, superior to optical media, like, in every way, except that large capacities is really expensive.
Yeah. I also...
Zack, focus.
Hey, look at that guy.
It's a guy.
There are no Shinra troops on this train.
Look at the sword he has. I don't know if they're gonna show it.
Certainly looks big.
Alright, so we have to kind of go into the idea of a prequel. In general, I don't like prequel stories almost ever, because if a original story is good enough, they're going to go over what most of the prequel events happen, which is the same case with Crisis Core. And usually they have to make up a bunch of stuff, like extra characters or characterized characters that really don't need it, or make up events, and yeah, this game's plot is a train wreck.
Well, it's like, it's you put yourself in a corner. Look, as an example, Star Wars Episode 1, right?
Yeah,
like,
Star Wars prequels are the easiest.
So, like, yeah, I mean, that's an easy one to whatever, but, like, so even if they were excellent, you see Qui-Gon Jinn in Episode 1, and you're like, who's this guy? Well, I don't know him in the new one, so either he dies or he just goes away. You know what I mean? And it's like... Okay, so, like... Say, hypothetically, I have no idea who's in this game, but say Tifa's in this game, right? You can't put any situations where it's like a potential life or death for Tifa, because everyone knows she survives.
Yeah, so you can't affect the main characters too much. All the additional characters have to be written off in some way. Either they die or they don't matter.
Right.
And the events of the game can matter to the original story, but in the case of a well-written original story, you already know what the events are. And in this case, you know Zack, he's a guy in Soldier, and this takes place exactly when Cloud enlists in Shinra, but Cloud never makes it into Soldier. He only is a grunt.
I mean, it's not giving anything away to say that, you know, everyone knows FF7's story. Zack is what Cloud thought he was.
Yeah.
You know.
Cloud gets if you care, spoilers, turn off the video right now, but Cloud gets Mako poisoning.
I'm sorry, the game is 23 years old for FF7.
But Cloud gets Mako poisoning, and during that time, Zack has to protect him, and he also gets experimented on by Hojo. And that's the reason why he has soldier powers, but isn't actually in soldier. And, like, his broken mind just thinks he's Zack, somewhat. But we'll get to that, I guess.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're coming up to the combat system. And this game, when I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, I will say that the Final Fantasy VII Remake is better in every single way possible compared to this game. But I was thinking about Crisis Core so much while playing this. So,
what is going on?
my god, I have so much to explain. Alright, so on the bottom right...
Why are they not telling you anything? Like, this is the tutorial?
They showed you, like, your general movement things.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, they just kind of throw you into the game just like the original Final Fantasy VII. Alright, so on the bottom right is my materia and my attack, so I can move it with the L and R.
Okay.
And use different stuff. On the bottom left, it's obviously HP, MP, and AP is for physical attacks, so they added that to this game. The top left is a slot thing, which I kind of forget what it's called. It's called the Dream something or other, and I'll explain that later.
Go up the stairs at the end of the
Question of the part before we get too far in. What are the best sequels in, like, pretty much any media? Movies, books, games. Ones people usually bring up is, like, Devil May Cry 3.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 3 is a really good prequel.
Metal Gear Solid 3.
That as well. Very good prequel.
Those are the two that come to my mind right away. Some of them that are cool. So, like, here's an example. I think Resident Evil 0, in terms of story, is cool, but it literally means nothing.
Yeah, like, nothing happens in that game.
Because 1 second later, Rebecca's in the mansion in Resident Evil 1. So, like, I think it's cool, but, like, the story is so ancillary that it, like, just doesn't matter.
Alright, so to explain what's going on in the top left. Basically, that slot thing does whatever it wants. I do not know... There's probably, if you want to look up the fact of the hidden properties of how it works, go ahead. But it basically does what it wants, and you have no control over it. So, that slot machine does a lot of stuff. It levels you up, it levels up your materia. If you get 3 characters in a row, you'll do a special attack. The limit bar where it says normal, if it gets heightened, it means that more things will happen, and to heighten it, who knows how
So
it
I have
works.
an honest question for this, and it's not meant to be a jerk. Why is it there? Like, why can't it just be like a hack and slash game or like whatever? Like, is it like something that like ends up being like super cool later on? Because I'm just like, why would you put stuff to like chance?
No, I don't know what they were thinking. In general, it's a bad idea.
Damn it. You're not the only hero.
Also, these graphics really remind me of Kingdom Hearts for like PSP.
Yeah. I don't know why this is pre-rendered. You can kind of tell because it's like artifacted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely pre-rendered. It doesn't look as good as the normal game.
Yeah, I don't know why they bothered.
Like, the cutscenes, this pre-rendered cutscene doesn't look as good as the friggin' gameplay.
Why am I fighting Sephiroth?
Wait, who's this guy? With the sword?
I don't know. Some guy.
So, no spoilers at all, and I'm like nowhere into the FF7 remake, but I certainly love how Sephiroth is thrown in 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, so I finished it a couple hours ago, and
Thanks, Angie.
Oh boy.
it's a game.
Do they set it up obviously for a sequel, like a second part?
I'm not telling you that, dude. I'm not.
It's gonna take me months to beat this damn
What?
game.
It's like a 25-hour game, 30-hour game. Just don't do any side quests.
Okay,
They don't
no,
matter.
I like the side quests. I want to do everything. I did everything in FF7, so I'm gonna do All the side quests and stuff.
I'm not
Yesterday,
telling you anything.
yesterday I went into some factory in Sector 7 and like beat some friggin' birds or something.
Why?
I don't. It just is what it is.
You serious?
There's not that many side quests anyway.
I heard that when I looked up a fact, it said there's 20 side quests. I already did like 3 of them. Some of them are like super short. I found some cats. I felt like I was playing friggin' Kingdom Hearts with this like random, like, find my cats, mister. And I'm like, okay.
When does that ever happen in Kingdom Hearts?
It just,
I don't like game I never played.
No. It feels like something that would happen in that. I don't know.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just like a tutorial
If you
side
want
quest
to be a
thing.
hero, you need to have dreams.
I have to constantly bring up the map in that game. It's so ridiculous.
By the way, that guy has the Buster Sword. And
Get
let me
it?
tell you, this game is more about the Buster Sword than it is about Zack. So if that sounds disappointing, it's because it is.
My favorite thing is about the Buster Sword in the real game is like, technically, like Cloud gets rid of it like an hour in. I don't remember what the first sword you get after the Buster Sword, but it's not super long, you know.
Yeah, you do carry the Buster Sword through. You get the hard edge.
It could be like based FF8 where you only get like 4 weapons the whole game or whatever.
Do you get the hard edge in like Wall Market?
You seem a little on
I
edge.
forget.
Something like that. Before you leave Midgar.
All this training and no assignments, like they're hanging me out to dry. You must be pretty busy with everyone off base.
Off base? Wait, haven't you heard?
I'm trying to think of prequels that I really like. Isn't one of the Metroid games? Isn't Zero Mission a prequel? Or no, that's just a remake of 1.
I'm trying to think of the timeline of Metroid, but
Technically, almost every Castlevania game is a prequel. They're good. Castlevania 3 is a prequel. Literally it is, but obviously story in Castlevania, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Silent Hill Origins, that's a prequel.
yeah,
It
and
exists.
Castlevania spans literally a millennia.
Yeah.
And the original story prequel that takes place in the 11th century is actually a really cool story.
Yeah, how Dracula becomes a thing.
Yeah, in the beginning of the game, it's just 2 random guys. One has to kill his wife to make the vampire
It's good
killer,
to finally meet
and the other
face to
guy
face.
becomes Dracula.
Lazard, director of Soldier.
Not bad, actually. I mean, which one would you... I would choose to be Dracula, because then you could just get all these people to constantly revive you, and then the second you're revived, you can be like, nothing personal,
Yeah,
kid.
but the problem is that the second you get revived, you get killed every single time.
Soldier First Class Genesis.
Hey, do you like original characters?
Who dat?
Went missing during a mission in Wutai.
I know that place. Wutai.
Know anything about this?
Yeah, this game is all remember
Like
this
Will?
thing.
Although, to be fair, one of the... do they go into... the
mission is
war in
currently stuck
Wutai?
limbo.
Because that's mentioned a lot. Like, Eris's dad and whatever, died in the war in Wutai.
To Wutai? Yes.
Or was this, I guess, was this not far enough back?
This does take place during the war with Wutai, but they really do not explore it.
That sucks, because that's mentioned not a lot, but especially early on in the game, it's mentioned a decent amount. And it was, a cool thing,
Once you're packed,
you know?
Yeah.
you'll leave it
I really don't want to say that this game is horrible. I definitely don't think it's good, but everything executed is so flaccid and sort of uninteresting, and you'll see what I kind of mean.
Alright, we're doing it, lads. We're looking up best video game prequels.
Yeah, probably a good time to do it because they're doing some tutorial stuff right now.
Oh yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a prequel. That's right.
Oh yeah, those games.
Apparently Halo Reach is a prequel. Ooh, there's a category in Wikipedia.
Ooh, nice.
How about, literally almost every single Assassin's Creed game is mentioned? Just because, it's all over the place.
Yeah, who cares?
Oh my god, 8 Castlevania games are mentioned. Dracula's Curse, Lords of Shadow. Cool. Especially when it goes all out like that.
Lords of Shadow is barely a prequel. It's more of a reimagining.
Crisis Core, there it is, right there. Apparently Daxter. Yeah, that makes sense. Jak and Daxter. Just Daxter himself. There's not a lot of amazing games on here. Devil May Cry. Apparently Deus Ex Human Revolution's a prequel. And Mankind Divided's a prequel. Dragon Quest III. Fallout 76 is a prequel, apparently. I don't...
Cool.
They have Vice City listed as a prequel. Because it happens in the 80s.
Yeah, like technically...
Boo!
It takes place in a time period where nothing else is around it.
Apparently the House of the Dead Overkill's a prequel, which I guess makes sense. Because doesn't it take place in the 70s? This... by the way, this list is it's obviously an unofficial one, and it's like really grasping at straws to be like, this game took place beforehand. Like House of the Dead Overkill, I would never be like, this is a prequel. They have Minish Cap listed as a prequel, which it technically is. Isn't it like the first in the series, I guess? Because he gets his dang hat.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I would imagine that Skyward Sword is the first one. I mean, Skyward Sword's entire premise is that, like, no life is on Earth. It's all in the sky. And, like, you sort of, like, cultivate the land and make it livable. So, Skyward Sword's first and Minish Cap's second.
They have...
I mean, who cares
I
about
know,
the
who
Zelda
cares?
timeline?
It's just silly to look at. They have all 3 Metroid Primes listed. Like, how can all 3 games be a prequel? Oh, here's a good one. Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. That's a solid prequel there. Perfect Dark Zero. I don't think we're doing very well in terms of, like, finding good ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not very many good prequels. It's like DMC 3, MGS 3. Both of them...
Almost, I mean, Red Dead 2, if you like games like that, which I don't, but, like, I appreciate how big and vast it is. Apparently, literally, Resident Evil 0 would be in the top 10 prequels, like, easily. It's not a great game. Shadow of the Colossus is a prequel to Ico. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, that one is.
Although it's one of those things where, like, the connection between them is so loose.
Yeah.
Like, the ending last 5 seconds of Shadow of the Colossus has something to do with Ico.
Apparently Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is listed as a prequel. I don't know to what.
Good.
To 3?
I'll be joining you as well. I'm counting on you.
Sir.
Super Street Fighter 4 is listed? What is this list?
To become
Well, the weird thing is that Street Fighter Alpha is the first in the timeline.
No.
So,
I forgot they literally would have a timeline, wouldn't they? Okay, so going off of this list...
all I know about Street Fighter is that Street Fighter 3 is last in the timeline, and Street Fighter Alpha is first. And, like, all of them are in the middle. Like, 4, I think, is after Alpha. Or it's 2, then 4, then 5. Well, I'm gonna stop talking now.
So, Metroid Prime is listed on another thing, so I guess it fills the events between Metroid 1 and 2, but that's not a prequel then. Isn't a prequel, like... Wouldn't it technically be, like... At the time, it goes back to be the first thing in the lineage? So, like, having, like, 1 and then 2 and being like, oh, this takes place between them, that would mean Kingdom Hearts, whatchamacallit? What's the PS2 one? Chain of Memories is a prequel, but it happens after 1, I think. So there's got to be a different word for that.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Birth by Sleep is the Star Wars prequel of Kingdom Hearts, and I hate it. Birth by Sleep's the worst game in the world.
Oh, here's a good one. Super Mario World 2. That is actually a prequel, because Mario's a baby.
Yep, I guess so.
So literally, there we go. 3 best prequels of all time. Mario World 2, Devil May Cry 3, and Metal Gear Solid 3. Everything else, there was a top 10 list, and they included stuff like Castlevania 3, which is a great game. Well, it's a good game, but like I don't think about it story-wise. Halo Reach, which whatever. Crisis Core is on this one, and Resident Evil 0 is on this one. So there you go. If you can think of any others, guys, let us know. Obviously, the internet can't always be right. So you get into random encounters then, or are these preset encounters?
So they're kind of preset. So, when there's a big area like this, if you walk in the middle, it'll activate the encounter. But a lot of times, if you walk... Well, I can't show it here. If you walk around the edge, you will never touch the encounter plane. So, the good thing about it is that this game has a ton of side quests. There's like 250. And after a certain point, you're just like, I don't care about these. They're so copy and paste and boring. So what you do is that you just walk around the edges of the map and never get into any fight ever.
And you said this is generally easy, so you're not going to have to like go, here we go again. They're freaking...
Oh, really?
They're doing a pre-rendered cutscene and it looks way worse than the
now
actual
this one,
thing.
at least, is a completely different location, so it might have been like rendering issues.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But, yeah, Spencer just said, like, oh, are they going to go into the war with Wutai? That's what we're doing right now. But it just feels so weird.
Tasted the best.
Okay.
But I never stole from that tree because the wealthy man's son was my friend.
If he was a friend, you should have just asked for some.
What's Chinbeard's
Honor
name?
can be quite
Angeal.
Angeal?
Yeah. Angel with an extra
And
E
what
before the
exactly
A.
does this have to do with me?
No story is not worth hearing.
Really?
What?
As a retail worker, I can tell you that is false. There are plenty of times when people tell you stories that you're like, this was not worth hearing.
Well, he did laugh as he walked away, so maybe he
Okay.
was just making fun of Zach.
Because there are a lot of stories that are not worth hearing.
Oh, dude, this is annoying me so much.
What?
You have a bunch of tutorial things,
Jeez.
but if you don't look in them, that mail icons on
Leveling
top
up,
right.
shops, missions. So speaking of the remake, and obviously I'm not anywhere to even give anything away, but like I feel like newer RPGs have so many things going on that they make my brain hurt. So like with this one, they're like, hey, like you meet that like android guy, and he's like, hey, take pictures of, or no, not take pictures, do like scans of enemies for me, and I'm like, oh god, another thing to remember. Or like the fact that like each weapon has like special like abilities and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna forget this too.
Luckily, the guy only needs you to scan like 40 enemies in total to get every materia that he wants.
That's
So
nice.
you don't need to do all of them. There might be a trophy for doing them all, but yeah, whatever. My Buster Sword.
Well, that's cool. They have the materia slots on the Buster Sword on this one.
You know, I've never actually.
Didn't they have
seen
that
you
in the
use
original
that.
too?
Maybe it might have just been hard to see.
I do like in the remake when you slot materia into swords so you can physically see it.
It's so cool.
I think it's
That's
really
a real
cool.
waste.
You're serious, aren't you?
It was worth the
Yeah.
10 years wait
I can
for
be
that.
Pretty cheap.
That's why they kept having to go back to the drawing board. They're like, the materia.
Yeah, and the remake, I can only imagine how much of the development cycle was just for graphics and presentation. Like, a game's budget and development is so intertwined with presentation now.
Oh, easily.
And I feel like a game's scope is heavily affected now because of it. But you just can't do it. You can't make a game that looks bad and just be like, well, there's a bunch of content, because people will complain.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, a game that is gonna, when it comes out, look really good, Last of Us 2, was pushed back again. This one, obviously, because of, you know, the current outbreak and whatever, but like...
Oh, so it's not even... What was it pushed back to? May?
It was May 29th, and now it's just TBD.
Wow.
It might... No, so I was about to say it might come out after the PS5, but at this point, if someone would bet me $50 that the PS5 is not coming out this year, I would absolutely take that bet, that it is not coming out this year.
Yeah, I would say that there might be a delay.
With an asterisk, I'll say if they try to pump it out this year, that there's going to be major problems. By that I mean mostly amount of them and distribution. So, like, they could be like, oh, they're out, but no one can get any because we, like, only made whatever amount. So, it'll be another one of those things where, like, only Amazon and Walmart get them, and they'll, like, mess it up.
Yeah. So, if anyone's still with us, I will say that this game does get a lot better after this beginning mission. So, stick with us, lads.
Stick with us, lad. I mean, the conversation alone is... So, one of the